required to show that the motion was made with due diligence after the discovery. Now, to make a long story short, the appellate court overturned the conviction, and they just ripped the hell out of Judge Braslow, who presided over the 440. Let me tell you about Judge Braslow and what happened here. The trial of the 440 judge was Jack Braslow. Jack Braslow's father was the Democratic power broker for the county. He had a law practice with Richard Schaefer, who's the head of the Democratic Party, and another lawyer by the name of William Wexler. They were all partners. Schaefer, who's the head of the Democratic Party, basically had Spoda cross over to the Democratic Party. Now, Braslow's father, who was with Schaefer, they appointed Braslow as Marty's 440 judge. Just amazing. You can't believe what went on here. Now, Marty's free. Case is over. Marty's in law school. It's an experience that I'll never forget in my life, working those 7 years to be part of a wonderful team to free Martin Tankleff, to meet a wonderful family that Marty has, to meet wonderful attorneys. You would figure that, you know, I just did the right thing. You know, I did my job. I helped Marty gain his freedom. Well, this is what happened to me after the case. I found out that I was being investigated during the case and during the hearing. During the hearing and a little after the hearing, I was receiving letters in the mail. If you ever watch Criminal Minds, you ever see the cutout letters? They cut them out of magazines and they put them on paper. I started receiving threatening letters, and besides the threats, part of it was also a personal nature of my life. They always came from a post office box in Maryland, and they cut-offs too. The letters then started coming to my home. My office, my home, I was threatened. They attacked my personal life. And then I found out when the Attorney General got the case that there was an investigation on me, and I wrote Spoda's office for a FOIL request to get some of the work. His answer to me, basically, well, by the way, the investigation was also against my daughter. When I asked for a FOIL response, they said, neither you nor your daughters have been the subject of an investigation by this office. I just want to show you a couple of things. This is at the time of the hearing, all these papers. This is from Suffolk County, that they asked for a comprehensive report on me. They took my information. They went looking where I live. See what this is? This is a diagram of my house. Wow. Okay? This is a handwritten diagram of my house, where I live. This is directions written on a piece of paper directions from the east, out from Riverhead to my house in Long Island. Somebody wrote this, and these are all directions to my house. This is from Lenny Lato. Basically, he was a prosecutor against Marty. They subpoenaed all my records. They subpoenaed my bank accounts, my credit cards, my American Express accounts. They even looked at my door. I don't know why. They went for my office. They wanted to know the phone number of my office. All they had to do was call information. Well, I'm just wondering why they would need my phone number. All they had to do was ask me. Could it maybe be a wiretap on my phone? I don't know. Can I say that Suffolk County wrote these letters to me? No. Can I prove it? No. But you know what? It's a little, the timing is just a little, you know, it smells like a rat, it's a rat. So, I paid a little price for this, but I guess it's worth the price because today Marty is a free man. And if anyone has any questions on the case, I'll take them now. If you want to hear Ron speak first.
Just listening to Jay's account, it is riveting, it is chilling, and to follow after Jay's account certainly is not something that I look forward to. I think we owe a tremendous debt of gratitude, and I really am so pleased to be on a stage with Jay because he's such a courageous person. And let's have a round of applause for his investigation. I'm going to talk about the issue from a little bit of a different perspective, because Jay talks about a singular case, and I'm going to try to talk about a systemic perspective in terms of the whole criminal justice. Having been an assistant district attorney in the Nassau County District Attorney's Office for over 30 years, and thereafter switching sides, if you will. That was a life-opening experience, if you will, in terms of becoming a defense attorney for the last 10 years. I've had occasion to see things from both sides. So let me just tell you a little bit about the criminal justice system. It's a short thing, but I think it's very important. The criminal justice system is specifically designed to prevent the miscarriages of justice that Jay alluded to in specifics and in great detail. And certainly we all have questions where we ask for more detail. The criminal justice system operates under the theory, and if you think about it, it's a very humanitarian situation here. It's an adage that says rather 100 guilty men go free than one innocent person be punished. And I've lectured about this many times, and there are people who say, well, gee, we can't let those 99 people go who are guilty. They'll commit more crimes just to protect that one innocent man. It doesn't make sense. It's 99 versus 1. But then the ultimate question is, well, how would you feel if you were the one? And then people change their mind very quickly, because you don't want to be an innocent person falsely accused, and you certainly don't want to be a person who's innocent and falsely convicted and suffer the loss of liberty and freedom, the most important things that anyone has. So the criminal justice system does certain things to level out the playing field, if you will, using a sports analogy, to provide a setting in an imperfect world where the United States of America versus John Doe, 250 million, 300 million versus 1. The people of the state of New York, 25 million versus 1, John Doe. But we do certain things to even out that playing field in our laws. And one, we have the prosecution has the burden of proof. The defendant does not have to present evidence or defend and prove his innocence. The prosecution has to prove guilt. Second, we have the prosecution given the responsibility to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a very high standard of proof. And third, in New York State, we give a mandate saying that it must be proven to the satisfaction of a unanimous jury. That's, 12 people in a felony case, 6 people in a misdemeanor case. But to get 12 people to agree on anything is rather difficult. I know in my life experience with my wife, son, and I, my son wants to watch an action movie, my wife wants to watch a romantic tearjerker, and I'm looking for some deep drama with meaning. At any rate, nobody can agree on where we're going to go for a movie, let alone. I'm just bringing this to your attention so you can just think about how difficult it is to get 12 people from all walks of life, races, and religions to agree on anything. So it is difficult to convict. But we still do more. We give to the defendant his constitutional rights. We give him the presumption of innocence, and that's something that is maintained throughout the entire trial, up until such time, if it ever occurs, that he's convicted. And we give the defendant all of the rights that are included in the Bill of Rights. We give him the right to counsel. We give him the right to remain silent. We give him the right to confront witnesses. We give him a right to a jury trial. And it evens things out to some extent. But we live in an imperfect world. we're human beings and mistakes happen. And it's not always as idealistic as we would always like. And I just want to share with you, as a former prosecutor, what the role of the prosecutor is, and it's a role that sometimes is forgotten, and it should never be forgotten, and that is the dual role. The prosecution has a responsibility to prosecute the guilty. That is true. But the prosecution also has a second role, and it's not secondary. It's first alongside of the first goal to prosecute the guilty, and that is to protect the innocent. And that's something that you just can't forget. It's very important. And I worked with Dennis Dillon, and he told this story about a case of mine that whenever he went around, because he thought it was the epitome of what a prosecutor should be all about and how prosecutors should act in our criminal justice system. I had a case where 3 young white boys were robbed by 3 young black boys. And there were 3 identifications. The 3 white boys picked 3 people out of the lineup. The lineup basically was fair, and 3 people were charged. And I'll never forget this conference as long as I live. The first defense attorney said, "What are you offering me?" The second defense attorney said, "What are you offering me?" And the third defense attorney said, "Ron, I have to tell you, I can't take a plea in this case. My client is innocent." And I said, well, wait a second. He's been charged with robbery twice before. Robbery first degree. He says, but he was found not guilty. But then he was charged again with robbery first degree. But he was found not guilty. Now he's charged with robbery first degree. And you're telling me again he's not guilty? I said, you know, there's an old adage, lightning doesn't strike twice. You're telling me 3 times? He said, yeah, you got to look into it. And, you know, most people, you know, would take it with a grain of salt. And, you know, I personally have to say that I did at the beginning. But something happened. At the pretrial hearing, one of the 3 defendants came over to my detective, Ray Fred, who was investigating the case. And he couldn't say to the detective, I committed the crime, but I didn't do it with him, because he couldn't admit that he did the crime. So he said something that was a little bit unique, and he went over to the detective and he said, I know what I'm doing here, but who's he? And he points to the third guy, where the defense attorney said, my client's innocent and he can't take a plea. Well, we talked about it, and, you know, to make a long story short, we decided to try the 2 defendants who we had a better case with, and to exclude the 3rd defendant, who I'm now talking about. And we proved them guilty of robbery first degree, and after they were convicted and before sentence, not only did they tell us that they didn't do the crime with the 3rd defendant, they told us who they did do the crime with and who else helped them do the crime, and we ended up convicting other people, and we set an innocent person free. So Dennis Dillon always brought this to the attention of the public in all the speeches, because he believed that very strongly that it's important that the prosecution be fair and that the prosecution you know, present, you know, look at things from both sides of the issue.